Advanced Legal Studies. For a very vast man like Professor Taufik Ladan, one should expect that he would have a vision for the Nigerian Institute of Advanced Legal Studies. Of course, there is also a statutory vision that the Nigerian Institute of Advanced Legal Studies has to shoulder. And so how ready is Professor Taufik Ladan himself as a person and the Institute in championing the cause of advancing legal research in Nigeria? The Scale went to visit Professor Ladan to hear and see what he has for Nigeria in terms of a vision for the research institute that caters for law in Nigeria. Join us on this segment of The Scale for this interview. What are your thoughts about the relevance of the Nigerian Institute of Advanced Legal Studies in legal studies generally in Nigeria?
It was established by law purposely to serve as the apex legal research and training institute in Nigeria on all legal matters and to service all organs of government and also all MDAs. With particular focus also on developing postgraduate programs in emerging fields of law to guide law faculties on PG programs, on postgraduate programs. So the founding fathers of the Institute did their own best to position the Institute 40 years ago in the context that it will be of relevance, to serve the nation, within their understanding and also in the circumstances in which the Institute took off. So that gave us the vision to have a space, an academic and administrative headquarters all in Lagos, located within the University of Lagos campus, Akoka. In the last actually 20 years, or let me say even the last 15 years to be precise, a need was actually felt by my predecessors that Abuja is becoming the attraction, and if you want to extend the service, of the Institute in terms of apex legal research and training, then you also have to be in Abuja. So administrative headquarters 20 years ago precisely, out of the 40 years of the Institute in Lagos, moved practically to Abuja. And we're very lucky as an institute that we may be having the Attorney General and Minister of Justice as the supervisory minister of the institute, but the chairman of the governing council has always been whoever is the Chief Justice of Nigeria, chairs the governing council of the institute.
I don't want to break your thoughts,
yes,
but what is the rationale behind that?
I mean, it has to do with the founding fathers' vision to place the institute truly as an independent legal research institute for the service of all. So we are in the middle of all the three organs of government. And then we have a clause in the Institute Act that says we should also provide guidance on postgraduate matters to all law faculties in Nigeria, both federal, state, and private universities, in Nigeria. So you can see we have the supervisory minister being from the executive arm of government, the Attorney General, Minister of Justice. The chairman of the governing council is the head of the judiciary, Chief Justice of Nigeria. And then legal research and training includes we servicing the lawmakers, another arm of government, yes, because what they do is lawmaking. And in the lawmaking process, our services are needed, yes, because we are supposed to help them in drafting bills, our motions, legal issue brief, lead debate and all this, and they do even legal research for them. Okay. For instance, people need to understand why are we amending a particular instrument of 5, 10, 20, 30 years old. Why? And you need a legal research to provide the justification and also to provide the review of the relevant clauses that can actually provide, this kind of platform. So in essence, the institute is very relevant because it is meant to provide legal services and training on particularly emerging fields of law, for the benefit of Nigerians and also in the best interest of the nation.
Have the Nigerian Institute of Advanced Legal Studies moved well enough with these emerging areas?
Each and every institution of a national character of our institute needs to really move in phases in life. So the truth of the matter actually is that in the last 40 years, the institute has actually moved from traditional law courses, because we're not supposed to compete with law faculties in universities. We are supposed to even be providing guidance and template on how they can do better and qualitative research at the law faculties level. That's our job. Now, so the institute, in fairness to my predecessors, have actually moved away strategically and in phases from traditional law courses in terms of development of template, extensive research work, publications, conduct of public lecture series for enlightenment purposes, and also providing implementation guidelines and regulations of existing principal instruments that will actually make stakeholders from the judiciary and also from the bar and also from the academia to really understand their critical roles in all these actually phases. So some of the emerging fields that the institute have actually developed, particularly in the last 15 years, include intellectual property law. Very important. And then we have specialized training programs in practice and procedure, all right, which is very, very important. Alternative dispute resolution is one area that the institute has also mounted certificate programs, on mediation, on arbitration, and on general ADR. And it's selling because a number of government legal advisors are keen into it to get this knowledge in these new fields of law, which were never taught to many of them at the university level. That is what we are supposed to be doing. That's what we are doing so far. Regional economic integration law and practice is the vogue today because countries cannot survive on their own in global trade and investment. They cannot. They need to integrate either at the sub-regional level or at the continental level before they can actually really make an impact and even survive the global trade and global regime. If sophisticated countries of 27 could form European Union, have European Court of Justice, European Court of Human Rights, they have European Parliament, how much more, and these are actually our colonizers, yes. How much more of those that were colonized, yes. And we're developing nations, some of us are even underdeveloped. So the truth of the matter actually is that we have the demand to mount emerging fields of law that were never covered, in the last, 5, 6, 7, up to 15 years backward. So, I intend to add value by upgrading what we have, in the next 4 years. And one of the strategies is first to get us an affiliation with, one of the universities, so that our PG programs, masters and PhD program that we are running can get actually approval of the NUC. That's one. The second strategy is to mount new and emerging actually fields of law. Regional economic integration law and practice is one, where we have in Abuja alone, 3 ECOWAS organs that have over 150 staff. Okay. Legal officers alone in the 3 actually, including non-legal officers. Then we have Ministry of Justice staff across the federation. And then we have also Ministry of Foreign Affairs. They have a whole unit on ECOWAS unit and with an ambassador as the head of ECOWAS. So the staff also need knowledge and understanding of, our treaty obligations and our regional economic integration law and practice on a comparative basis. So this is one. Then sustainable development law and practice is another emerging field. It's not taught anywhere. Okay. And this is also one emerging field, of law that we are actually mounting both in terms of specialized training programs and also at master's and PhD level. It's very important for us because both at the global, regional, continental, and national level, 75 to 80% of every country's national budget is going into the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. And for us in Nigeria, the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, from my research that I've done for UN agencies, in the last 5 years, shows clearly that they are already, part of our fundamental objectives and directive principles of state policy, chapter 2 of the Constitution of Nigeria. But we never realized that they were actually going to be elements of SDGs to be promoted at the global level, which requires national commitment to key in, in terms of budgetary, commitment, and also political will to drive. Because every right to food, right to water, right to education that you provide is already in the constitutional objectives on the directive principles of state policy. So, our job as an Apex Legal Research and Training Institute, is to look at also areas like electricity law and policy. And this is an emerging field, in addition to the broader energy law and policy, field. And quite a number of actually people in the private sector, in the private bar and in academia and also the bench, and even the National Assembly. They need the services, of the Institute to understand these emerging fields, because we have house committees on practically all the emerging fields that we're talking about. Okay. So they need a think tank body that can not just be training them, which they have already, as an arm of the National Assembly, but to do legal research, to guide them, and add value to their work. That is primarily the responsibility of the Institute of Advanced Legal Studies by law.
How well is NILES patronized by government, particularly when government needs a think tank to do a number of business deals? I don't want to refer particularly to the oil contract between Nigeria and the P and ID, but such things, how well is NILES patronized by government?
To be frank with you, this is one deficit, area or gap in our relationship with all the three arms of government. We've not strategically placed ourselves. We've not reached out. So in the last 40 days, I changed the strategy. That look, you have to strategically present yourself to tell people by law what you are supposed to do for them and what you can do, and what they should expect from you. That's it. So I've been presenting the case of NILES. I've been going around on courtesy visits, and I've been well received. And amazingly, people were surprised that, so do we have an institution that is ever ready to do this kind of things, even on pro bono basis, free of charge, without charging a fee, because we are already established by law and being paid to do that. But if you give us a consultancy, we also have within the law the power to accept, give, to borrow, blah, 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 and then those kind of things. But the truth of the matter actually is that we've not been strategically visible. That's one truth that I've found out. And so part of the repositioning of the institute was for me to be going around. And it's really yielding actually positive result. I have currently under my administration about 317 staff, Lagos and Abuja combined. Lagos is our academic headquarters, Abuja is our administrative headquarters. Okay, so we are lucky, we are actually accommodated for 40 years at the University of Lagos, and then in Abuja, we are lucky, the chairman of the governing council is whoever is the Chief Justice of Nigeria, accommodated also in the Supreme Court for free. So we have 317 staff, 69 research officers with masters and PhD, and 14 professors of law, and about 5 senior advocates of Nigeria. Wow. There is no institution that you are looking for human resource, that can add value to the work of any organ or institution of government that, in terms of law, that is missing in the institute. Okay. So for emerging fields, for next year, we are actually mapping the ones that are on demand. About 5 of them, that we intend actually to promote, and we are working with different institutions, including international organizations, to partner, on these matters. And then we also have already MOUs with internationally, reputed agencies like Makata Foundation. We are working on 3 components, program. And I can tell you, they are in hundreds of thousands of dollars, and they chose us to partner on this issue. And our target group are the Federal High Court and State High Courts, and then we are rolling down 2020 to 2022 down to some state governments.
Yes, we have used this segment to look ahead and see what Nigeria can benefit from a major research institute that was deliberately created to enhance governance and enhance the law in Nigeria. Now we move to another group of people who help to enhance prosecution in Nigeria. These are the class of people you call the Law Officers Association of Nigeria. Indeed, they are law officers, that is, lawyers that are attached to every ministry of justice in Nigeria. We have featured them once a while on this program, and recently that association had its annual conference in Abuja. And so we decided to pick from what the Law Officers Association of Nigeria are doing to help enhance prosecution from the various ministries of justice, going from the Federal Ministry of Justice to the state ministries of justice. So let's hear and see what they have in stock for Nigerians in this very, very crucial part of governance.